Have you ever wondered what is the secret, the key to feeling not only admired, but respected in your relationship is? Well, look no further. I'm going to go into five things that you really need to understand about being respected in your relationship from a feminine energy perspective. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Dr. Nicole, and as a psychologist and coach, really versed in relationship dynamics and gender dynamics, I really want to go into this because I know we often hear about how respect is important for men, that men want to feel respected, women want to feel appreciated and loved and desired. But respect is also it's a human value, it's a human experience. So it's also important for women. And what I found is that when women don't feel respected, it's a domino effect and it plays into their experience throughout the relationship. So women also want to be respected. And there's some key things that play into that. And I also want to highlight that as we talk about femininity and feminine energy, it's important to know that sometimes women feel like if I'm too feminine, I won't be respected. I'll be taken advantage of. I won't be valued, right? I have to be hard in order to really be respected in my relationship. And that is absolutely not true, right? Boundaries are key in relationships, especially in your romantic relationship, but you don't have to let go of your femininity and your feminine energy. Okay. So, first, let's start with what is respect? I mean, that word gets thrown around so much, right? Respect is not just about admiration or even authority or domination, it's about valuing each other's thoughts and feelings and boundaries, right? Think about it. People that you respect, you value them and you want to honor what's important to them, right? And so when both partners in a relationship respect each other, it creates a foundation of trust and understanding. Now, it may look differently. Like for men, a lot of times the tone of voice is one of the key things that conveys that he's being respected. That's why in relationship communication, I always talk about the tone and how that is key. That's one of the key things. But for women, a lot of times what helps us to feel respected are the same things we intertwine respect and feeling valued and appreciated. We want to be heard. We want to feel like what's important to us is also valued by our partner. Okay. We want to feel like our voice matters. And so all of those things can be, you can draw those out of your partner in your relationship with a few key tips. All right. So let's go into them. Well, first of all, what are your thoughts on feminine energy? Um, Feminine energy is not a weakness, it is actually a strength. It's a strength because true feminine energy is built on emotional intelligence and emotional awareness. And that is always going to be a strength. It allows you to be flexible when necessary and also to have the right boundaries when necessary. And that's always going to be a win win in life and in relationships. Because if we're too rigid, we're like that branch that's going to break off at the slightest little, wind that comes at it. So, feminine energy, I want you to get this truly in your head. Feminine energy is a strength. It allows you to be able to understand yourself and others so that you can know when to adapt your communication, so that you can know when to communicate and like really uphold your boundaries, and that so that you can know also how to take care of yourself, how to prioritize yourself and your needs. Okay. So, the first thing I want you to understand is that communication and empathy are key to drawing to being respected by men in your relationship, right? Just think about that. We think like empathy is going to, sometimes we think empathy is going to make us a doormat, but that's absolutely not the truth, right? Effective communication really allows you to establish and verbalize or otherwise convey what is important to you, what your needs are, what your wants are, what you how you see things. Like it helps you to really express yourself and your personality and your authentic self. And so in order to be respected, you have to be comfortable with yourself and you have to be yourself. And communication is what allows you to do that. But empathy also, because in order to really express yourself in a way that others can really, want to respond to you, you have to be able to have empathy for other people. In order to communicate well, you have to be able to think about how the other person might be feeling, right? So this shows that respect is a two-way street. Just because you want something doesn't mean it's going to be that way. You have to have the empathy, the ability to see things from the other person's perspective so that you can think about that when you're communicating your needs, but it's a give and take, right? So you can say this is what I need, but I also recognize that you need something as well. And there's nothing that really draws out the respect in your relationship and the respect of a man than being able to express yourself, but also being able to show that you can see things from his perspective as well. And I feel like that's a great combination where you're able to stand up for yourself and what you want and need, but you're also able to see things from the other person's perspective. It's really, really key. The second thing that's important is setting boundaries and knowing how to be assertive. And I'll put like in parentheses, being assertive, not aggressive. I think when people don't know how to set proper boundaries, they end up being aggressive because they're in defense mode. They're afraid they're going to be taken advantage of. They've gotten into a pattern of not expressing themselves. So they get very, very defensive. And what they do is they put up walls and they either shut down or they become very, very aggressive. You want to understand that assertiveness is different than aggression. Assertiveness is being able to stand up and say what's important to you. It's being able to set a limit when necessary to let someone know. And sometimes assertiveness means that you have to be vulnerable because it could be letting someone know how they hurt you, how they did something that you didn't like, how you're not going to be able to go forward if they continue this, right? So it's really being able, assertiveness is what you need to do to communicate boundaries that are really, really important to you. So things like body boundaries, like financial boundaries, like establishing that you're not going to be available to be abused and misused and things like that. So the key is understanding the difference between assertiveness and aggression. And it's also learning that when you express yourself, you can establish a boundary and you can let assertiveness is just letting someone know what's important to you, what your boundary is. And then if they overstep it, assertiveness is also bringing it to their attention, letting them know and letting them know what the consequence would be. So the consequence would be that I'm not giving you my energy, or I'll have to think about, if we're going to move this relationship forward. Or a boundary could also be, I need space right now to really think about how I'm feeling about what happened, right? So these can all feel like heavy and difficult phrases, but they don't have to be. As long as you understand that assertiveness is just expressing a need, and a boundary is just setting a limit and knowing that you may have to bring it to someone's attention if they cross that boundary or if they violate that boundary. Now, I want to make it clear this is not talking about like you do one thing and you're out. It's really starting a conversation. Boundaries allow you, and assertiveness allow you to start conversations and let people know again what's important to you, where your limits are, what you're going to tolerate and what you're not going to tolerate. And let me be clear, this can all be done in a soft communication way. It doesn't have to be loud, it doesn't have to be yelling, it doesn't have to be aggressive. It could be using I statements, it could be using a tone of voice that is open but also serious, like, hey, that really didn't go over well with me. We really need to have a conversation about it. Or I would like to share with you exactly why that upset me so much, right? So there's a way that you can convey that it's serious, but it still fits within the realm of soft communication. Okay. You know, I'm a fan of soft communication because it is key to making sure that your message or the thing that you want to be heard, that you want the other person to hear, it ensures that that gets across. Okay. So the third thing you want to think about is really um, developing that inner confidence and self worth because people won't respect you if they sense that you don't respect yourself. And a lot of times it's not even deliberate, but when someone doesn't have a sense of self worth, the way they talk, the way they stand, the way they, express themselves, it conveys, I'm not worthy. And people just automatically, it triggers in the other person that sense of like, well, if they don't value themselves, then I'm not really going to respect them either. Okay. And so a sense of self worth, that's why I say self worth and confidence are the most attractive and seductive qualities of a woman. It's the confidence, right? You can do everything to be prim and proper and do all of this outer stuff, but if internally you aren't working on how you value yourself, the worth that you have for yourself and what you believe you bring to a relationship or to other people. And for women, from a feminine energy perspective, what we bring is our nurturance and our emotional intelligence and our ability to tap within and understand what's going on with us and our ability to manage our emotions, right? Those are all such superpowers. And the more you get in touch with those, the more you will understand your self worth and you will have confidence in who you are and what you quote bring to the table, if we want to use that expression. Okay. So it's the self worth and the confidence that are key components of it. The fourth thing is mutual respect and appreciation. So we can't go around saying, you need to respect me, and we're not going to give that same respect. And respect should be given. I talk to so many women who feel like a man has to earn their respect, and it doesn't work that way. You need to respect that person that you're in relationship with. And especially for men, they don't want to have to prove themselves to be respected, right? So you have to give respect just as a courtesy. Now, if someone does something where they make you lose respect, that's another thing, right? You'll have to decide whether that's something worth repairing or looking at. But if you're starting from, I'm not going to respect this person, they have to earn my respect, that sets up a bad precedent for their relationship, right? It's better to start off up here. And then if that person is not, worthy of the respect and the honor that you're giving them, that's one thing. But to be in relationship, it needs to be mutual respect and appreciation. And so that's where you are able to be a safe place, a listening ear, a non-critical ear, a non-judgmental ear, to be able to convey to the person that um, if I'm going to give you feedback, I'm going to do it in a way that is respectful to you, right? So if you want those things, all those things I listed, right? Those are things that we usually want as women. So you have to be willing to understand that it's a give and take. It's a dance. It's a mutual experience. So giving respect is key. And my program, the Boundaries to Bliss Society, I actually have phrases of respect and disrespect that women need to understand. Phrases that you can use that show your man you respect him, and phrases you can use that convey disrespect. And the more you use those respect phrases, the more he also turns around and does it to you, right? We tend to operate on the law of reciprocity. When someone does something for us, we actually want to do the same and return the favor to them. So giving that respect and appreciation is going to make it come back to you tenfold. Okay. And the fifth thing that I want you to think about in terms of how to get respect from men, especially as a feminine woman, is learning to deal with conflict with grace, right? Learning to be composed and learning to self-reflect so that this does a few things. One, when there's a conflict, it doesn't have to blow up into something where things are said and things are done that it's hard to come back from, right? The other thing is that you don't want to be in a place where you're always taking everything personally, right? So anytime there's a conflict or a misunderstanding, you think it affects your self-worth, you think you're not good enough, you think he doesn't value you, right? When sometimes it's a misunderstanding. So learning how to deal with conflict and misunderstandings in a way, again, where you can express yourself, you can communicate, you can assert yourself, but that doesn't mean you have to catastrophize. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, where you get to a point where you think the whole relationship is over because you don't see things eye to eye on this one issue, or where you take it overly personal to where just because they're in a bad mood or they had a bad day or there's a disagreement, that you take it so personally that it dampens your mood, and then either you blow up, right, and it's a big conflict, or you shut down and you pull away. Okay, so that is one of the key things that will really have your man respecting you, right? He's like, wow, she can really handle conflict, she can really hear things and not take it overly personal. Because when you're in a relationship, both parties want to be able to be authentic and honest and transparent with each other. And so for men, sometimes they're going to be direct and tell you how it is. And you have to be able to learn that not everything is a personal attack, that something may be feedback, but it's not, an attack. And that a comment that he makes is not necessarily a criticism. Okay. So I hope these 5 tips can give you a sense of what the things that are like the things that are natural to you as a woman resting in her feminine, in touch with her femininity, how these things already exist and they will help your man or help. This is how men respect women: the communication, the emotional intelligence, the ability to deal with conflict, the ability to deal with herself, as well as have boundaries and communicate. Okay. You let me know in the comments, what has your experience been like? What are the things that have been hard for you in terms of getting respect from men? And what are the ways that your feminine energy has actually upped your respect from your man in your relationship or the other men in your life? Okay. This is Dr. Nicole. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, the notifications bell, and like and share this video. See you in the next video.